Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pop Anime Comics here from PopAnimeComics.com and the Pop Anime Comics Lounge podcast. And yes, this is the wrap-up show. We're talking about My Hero Academia, Season 4, Episode 87. Pretty interesting episode. Basic premise is that Eri's horn has shrunk. She is sort of an orphan as her parents don't want her. The leader of Overhaul's entire gangster family, for lack of a better word, slash the mafia slash the Yakuza's head doesn't want her back or really can't have her back because he's still in a coma thing. So Overhaul, and so Eri's going to be living with the adults slash teachers at UA High, pretty much, to monitor and figure out how to make her quirk and powers work because, well, there's a stake for them in restoring a lot of things that went wrong. And so that's what they're doing as a solution to solve her dilemma. So that's kind of cool that she's going to be there and that now she's being sort of mentored into becoming a hero. At the same time, Team Pussycat is back, and we find out that the person whose quirk was stolen hasn't been able to been recovered yet. For lack of a better word, Eri might be able to solve that problem to some degree. That's out there in, I guess, the space here and sort of out there just circling around as an idea or possibility, but it's pretty clear that All For One says, hey, I feel really bad about this, and they sort of mention it and show him saying he feels bad about it, but in order for him to restore it, he would have to use his quirk, and he's tied up and being held captive, so they don't really know what exactly is going to happen. But it does raise the question that All For One does have quirks, and nobody knows the amount of quirks and what quirks he has still within him. And so that's kind of an interesting discussion point in of itself, that what does he have up his sleeve? Can he technically escape from the prison? Can he activate several different quirks? And is he completely out of this show yet? And well, that's up in the air as we speak. So that's kind of interesting. And then we get to the billboard component of it. So we get Ryukyu, the dragon hero, is number 10. Yori Musha is number 9. And I'm probably saying some of these names wrong. Wash is number 8. Kamui Woods is number 7. Crust is number 6. Mikro, which is the bunny hero, is number 5. Edshot, which is a ninja hero, is number 4. Genist, who's on sabbatical / hiatus, is number 3. Hawks is number 2. Endeavor is number 1. And he's been number 1 for a while, but he's the new number 1. So that's kind of cool in its own right. So that's the list. And we get this moment where Hawks makes this big grand entrance and makes a very flashy statement, kind of propping himself up, as well as sort of trying to give Endeavor a boost, but sort of a snub in many ways. And that's kind of an interesting dialogue where Hawks is clearly making a statement, which, again, I feel like is planting seeds for some stuff to occur. And later on in this episode, we see that Hawks and Endeavor are having a discussion, and they're talking about the future of heroes and different things that are going on, and Nobu's appearing. And Hawks is saying to Endeavor, hey, I want you to go investigate this and reassure people that this is being handled and how these Nobus are now still in play. And as we remember, Nobus have regeneration powers and can have multiple quirks. And as they're speaking, out of nowhere, a Nobu appears. And well, now it's showtime for both Hawks and Endeavor to kind of act upon that component and reassure the people that the Age of Heroes is still going on. Just because All Might is retired doesn't mean that the Age of Heroes and heroes aren't rising up to meet the threat of a rising villain, and the void has been filled by some components of villains. And so that's kind of cool in its own right. And pretty much this leads into the next episode that hasn't come out yet, but the preview insinuates that this is the time that Endeavor and Hawks get to show what they can do, how they can do it, and capture what I just stated, which is that just because All Might's gone doesn't mean that heroes aren't rising up to fill in the void, and that the Age of Heroes is still here, and that for every villain threat that rises, these people will deal with those threats. So that's kind of cool in its own right. And so I just think that this is very much a transition episode. And I feel that this is the point where now we're going from, okay, All Might is now out of this show and he has no stake as being number one. I mean, it was clear in season 3 that he was done. But we get the sense that the entire validity of season 4 has taken place over about 3 months. And so now we get this official confirmed that All Might is no longer the number one hero and that a new generation is starting to rise up. And that's what My Hero Academia has always been about, is that it's the next generation from the very first day to now slowly becoming into this. And we're seeing shifts in heroes and understanding where they're going. We have Hawks, who is 22, who is sort of at that start of this new generation. And every other hero, like Endeavor, has been around for longer, and they're still relevant, but we're starting to see that shift. And so that's what this episode really captures, is this shift in who is leading the next generation, and how are they coming up, how are they being taught, and what challenges are they going to be facing. And for the short term, we're now seeing how this new generation of heroes, especially Endeavor and Hawks, are going to be redefining heroes and redefining and reconfirming and regaining the people's trust in the hero system that has been built in the My Hero Academia world. And that's what the next episode is going to be dealing with. And so that's what that is. And it's extremely important because this is going to set the tone for heroes like Tododokuri, Bakugo, Deku, and several others on how they come into the next generation when they're ready in the next season or two, as they start to take the reins and start to become the next generation to replace somebody like Hawks and Endeavor and the other heroes that I mentioned, like Wash and Crust and Edgeshot and Genist. And we're sort of have hints who's going to replace who in that regard. It's pretty clear that Bakugo is probably going to replace Genist at some point as the number 3 hero. Deku is probably going to replace either Hawks or Endeavor, or Tododokuri is probably going to be somewhere in that as well. And then as far as Edgeshot, there's a few people that could easily replace him, but we're starting to get those ideas and sort of those seeds planted, and they've been planted from season 3 and most of season 4. And when that occurs, either in season 5, 6, or 7, which I think we are going to get to a season 7 in My Hero Academia, there's just too much money not to do it. And we start to see that this is the episode that will be looked back upon as being, oh, I get why they did what they did. And this show tends to do that very well, where they plant seeds in 2-3 episodes before things come to fruition and things come out. And so that way they're built upon, and there's time for that seed and that little sapling to grow into something and be done well. And that's something that's really done nicely in this anime. Some animes don't do this. This show does that extremely well. And so that's just to keep in mind. And so that's my entire take on this entire episode. Anyway, I'm going to go through my social real quick. Independent. I always state this. I'm not getting money from this. I'm not getting money from the podcast. I'm not getting money from YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or anything like that. Every like, every share, every view is always appreciated. So I get that times are tough at the moment. This coronavirus is a big deal. And I know that everybody is swamped, bored inside, going stir crazy. Money's tight. So if you don't want to buy my t-shirt, that's totally cool. I get it. Money's tight. If you do have extra money and you would like to support somebody who's on the indie side, you can go and buy my t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/PopAnimeComics. Just type it into the search bar once you get to Pro Wrestling Tees, and it'll bring you right to it. It's greatly appreciated. As I stated, money's tight. If you can't do that, please like my Facebook page. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, I am doing probably about 9 to 10 live interviews on my Facebook page. And they're going to happen at all different times. And so if you're stuck home and you would like to watch a live interview that's 30 minutes with a variety of people, please consider liking my Facebook page. And if I said YouTube, I mean Facebook page for sure. I don't know if I said Facebook page, but I'm saying it right now to correct myself. My Facebook page, and that's Pop Anime Comics. That's free. It's a great way how to get some content and a lot of cool stuff, and then it's on replay. There's already one out there, so check that out. Also, follow me on Twitter at Pop Anime Comics for updates regarding articles, anime, cool memes, videos that are always coming out. So that's another great way how to get content. Obviously, you should be subscribing on YouTube because all those live interviews do eventually wind up on YouTube. So definitely check that out. There's one actually up right now. There will be one up later today. So you're going to get 2 if you subscribe on YouTube. And every time a new one comes out, you'll be notified as long as you turn on that bell subscription right there. As well as check out my Instagram. A lot of cool comic stuff up on Instagram. So check that out. That's Pop Anime Comics. Website, if I already didn't mention it, it's popanimecomics.com. And the podcast, which has 118 interviews, which is about 100 hours worth of content. So if you're just cooking your dinner, you're bored, or you just want to listen to something while you're doing something else during this time, the podcast is Pop Anime Comics Lounge, and that's on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and about 30 other directories. So whatever directory you listen to your podcast on, you could most likely find my show on there. And if it's not on there, shoot me a message, because it might be a brand new directory that I don't know, and I will make sure that I will attempt to get onto that directory just for you if you listen somewhere that I'm not on there, because I want to be everywhere where everybody's at. So that's everything in a nutshell. I know it's a long promo, but thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it, and I cannot wait till next week's episode and talk more about My Hero Academia. And then when this season ends, if it ever ends, cross my fingers it doesn't, we'll move on to another cool show to talk about. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video.